Hey guys, it's Hannah and this is Bookworms Talk, and today I'm going to be reviewing Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I'm a sucker for a good tearjerker, and this definitely delivered in that category. So if you're new to my channel, what I do is review books without giving spoilers in the first half, and then we talk details and spoilers in the latter half, and I do warn you so you don't have to be worried if you haven't got your hands on it yet. So this book follows Kenna, a troubled young mother who just was released from a 5-year prison sentence. She has never met her daughter, never held her, nothing. And she desperately wants to be a part of her life. And so she's been trying to get everything together in order to potentially gain some kind of custody and get to know her daughter. And that's really what this book is about. If you read a lot of Colleen's other books, there's always a romantic element to it. And there is a little bit in this, but I wouldn't go into it expecting it because it's such a background thing. It's really about trying to earn like a second chance, and it's kind of like a redemption arc a bit. So this is like spoiler, not spoiler. You find this out pretty quick, so I'm going to continue on in the non-spoiler section talking about this. But she was in an accident in which her boyfriend died, the father of her child. After she had her daughter, her daughter went to live with his parents because her parents were not in the picture. Of course, there's that animosity there from his parents. And what I feel was so successful about this book was that Colleen was able to create a story where no one was the villain, you know? You completely understood the perspectives from these different characters, like what they emotionally were going through. Like his parents hated her and you freaking got it. And she didn't hate them. They were kind of like this block between being able to see her daughter. There's resentment there. But again, no one's the bad guy. You understand all these perspectives. It is so conflicting and just really well done. Really well done. I feel that Ledger, who is like the love interest, was kind of like the bridge gap. What's that saying? Ledger was kind of the bridge gap of being able to understand both perspectives entirely. And I feel like that was kind of his necessity to the story. Had that not been his role, he kind of wouldn't have had a point. So I love that was really well thought out, and damn, did this book make me cry. It was really emotional. Like there were pages where I'd just be smiling and get some happy tears in there, and then the next page was like devastating, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. I think that is all I can say without spoiling though. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I think that'll stick. I'm an indecisive star person, but that's kind of my final verdict. And if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe. I review other books like Colleen's, and I have a pretty big stock order of some old reviews of some of her first books that she wrote, so you can check those out too. I'll have them in a playlist. So spoilers now. Here's your warning. Can we talk about the pigeons? It got me. I don't even have anything specific to say about it. I just didn't want this review to go by without me mentioning the fucking pigeons. Something that I really appreciate that Colleen didn't shy away from was not just leaving it at a car accident. It was that had she made a different choice, he would have lived. If she hadn't left him for dead, essentially, she didn't know he was, but it adds an extra dimension, and it is kind of this like almost unforgivable thing. Like, I don't know, it creates this more intense level to the story, and I kind of feel like that element kind of made it. And it was really crazy how she was able to like tell this story from the perspective of the person who made the mistake without it feeling like a justification. It really was just about understanding the different perspectives. It wasn't about justifying it or demonizing or villainizing one person or a group of people. And that's a hard thing to do. My first book, that's kind of a balance I was striking. And it was challenging, and I had to shelve it and come back because it's a hard thing to do. Another thing, kind of keeping with the conflicting emotion thing, I appreciated that Kenna had the wherewithal and like I don't want to say self-awareness necessarily, but ability to put herself in another person's shoes. Despite all the pain that she's going through, not being able to see her daughter, she was able to put herself in his parents' shoes, in Grace and Patrick's shoes, and think about it from their perspective while still being in her own pain. And why I think that is so good is because she's described from Ledger's character as being selfless. And that right there, it is show not tell. That is the kind of thought that you would have as someone who is selfless. Because selfish people would only be thinking about how their own lives are affected. So that was such a good little tidbit. I found a quote that really expressed what I was saying. It is what it is, a fucked up situation with no evil people to blame. We're all just a bunch of sad people doing what we have to do to make it until tomorrow. And it proves that time, distance, and devastation allow people enough opportunity to craft villains out of people who they don't even know. But Kenna was never a villain. She was a victim. We all were. And that really encompasses like everyone in the story. They really were. There wasn't a villain in it. It was just a bad decision. I like it when the villains are kind of their own characters, or like a mistake or a choice or something out of their control. Like that's always something that's more interesting to me than some two-dimensional villain, which they did paint her as because it was easier. And that was also explained in there, that it's easier to cope and grieve when they're able to pin an idea of who a person is. I think it was Ledger that talked about that and how he hated her for years because he made these assumptions about her. But yeah, God, really such a good book. And I'm going to read you a couple of my favorite quotes in here, and I have a book recommendation for you. I don't normally do this. I know that Colleen's a fan of Tiffany DeBartolo's as well, and I'm thinking that's kind of where the sentiment came from. So I'm going to read you that quote and tell you the book. Life can be so fucking cruel and hard, and I've wanted to quit it so many times. But then moments like these remind me that happiness isn't some permanent thing we're all trying to achieve in life. It's merely a thing that shows up every now and then, sometimes in tiny doses that are just substantial enough to keep us going. And the book that I'm recommending is How to Kill a Rock Star by Tiffany DeBartolo. I think I have it memorized. Let me try. For what it's worth, happiness is a fleeting condition, not a goddamn state of mind. I've learned that if you chase after moments of bliss here and there, sometimes those moments will sustain you through the shit. And personally, I don't like inherently happy people. I don't trust them. I think there's something seriously wrong with anyone who isn't at least a little let down by the world. So, recommend that. I have a review for it. It's really old. I'm sorry. It's probably a little cringy, but I have a review for that if I've piqued your interest in any way. If that resonates with you, that quote from Colleen, then I think you will like How to Kill a Rock Star. It's like so not a romance though. FYI. Like there are romantic elements in it, but like it's sort of like this. That's not the point of the story. Ooh, okay. This is something made me ugly cry. There were a couple parts that made me ugly cry. Everyone ugly cried in this like at least once. But this was one that it resonated. It just resonated. So it was her and Ledger talking, and they were talking about like what it was like having a good family. And then he said, I don't know if I can explain it, but being here, it's like I can be my truest, most authentic self. I can cry. I can be in a bad mood or sad or happy. Any of those moods are accepted here. I don't feel that anywhere else. The way he described it made me sad I never had it. I don't know what that's like. It emotionally gets you in a way that just hearing about her very neglectful childhood, like that gets you. It's just a poignant example. And of course the letters, don't even get me started on the letters. They were great. They held purpose in the plot. They held purpose in emotionally ripping our hearts out. Like, they were great. I loved the letters in this. They worked well. They didn't feel forced. They were great. Sometimes that happens with letters in books, but very purposeful these. Another thing that like really emotionally grabbed me was Ledger realizing or wondering if there is some way that Scotty was looking at them and seeing the way that they were treating Kenna, like what would he think? And then him bringing that point up to his parents. Dude, if nothing else emotionally got you in this book, that had to be the moment. I really enjoyed this book. So I think that about wraps it up. If you guys read it, please let me know what you thought about it down there in the comments. Let's chat about it. And tell me what your favorite quote is. Ooh, that's what I want to know. I want to know your favorite quote. So be sure to subscribe if you would like to follow me on Instagram. It's at Hannah's Stories with 2 S's. I do like mini reviews there if you use Instagram a lot more than YouTube like I do too. So I get it. You can find me there, and I will see you later. Bye.